I mean, I like big butts.
Oh, I cannot lie.
I mean, you other brothers can't
Can't
deny
deny.
that,
Wow.
that when a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face, you get sprung.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
just saying.
Are you done now?
I'm never done.
No, we know that. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Anyway, let's get this going.
The sticky spot.
In a world where things get moist.
The sticky spot.
Ooh.
Ooh, splat.
Splat.
What's up?
All the splat.
All the splats.
Welcome to the sticky spot. This is your thing, Josh. Why don't you introduce it?
Introduce what?
I don't know.
You gotta stop this. I'm not on the sticky spot.
You are on the sticky spot. This is your idea.
No,
now you
it's
don't
your
want to take
idea.
ownership?
I don't take ownership of anything. I'm just along for the ride. You're the boss.
Wow.
This is my idea,
You
man.
can't. You don't have the privilege of firing me if I have to actually take ownership of anything.
Unfucking believable.
So do you
So then
wanna
you do
lose?
just show up.
Do you want to lose your firing privileges?
No.
Okay then.
Welcome to the
So
sticky
start it up.
spot. This was Josh's idea.
Huzzah!
But I'm the one introducing it because if not, I lose my abilities to fire him. If you notice, we have an intruder today. By the name of Indiana Ghost. Hey, Ghosty, aka Thousandth Ghost.
Hey, you guys, how you both doing?
Good.
Great.
I'd be better if I didn't have him as my co-host.
Well, you know.
You would be. I don't deny it.
Well, we are here to
Great
talk-
job with that intro, by the way.
What do you mean? Could
did
you do
awesome.
better?
Yeah, I could not. That's why I commend you.
I thought you were joking. I thought you were being
Continue.
sarcastic. Anyway, we're here on today's edition of the Sticky Spot to talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Ooh.
Boo. I mean, what? Yay.
This will not be
Yay.
spoiler free. So if you haven't seen it yet, tough.
Tough titty.
And I have a feeling that everyone that planned on seeing this movie has already seen it. Unfortunately, we're going to get a huge drop off, probably. We've all seen it, right? Ghost, you didn't just want to come here to chill, right? You actually saw
I've
it.
seen it twice already.
Oh, you've seen it twice?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you
Wow.
are dedicated.
And survived.
well,
That's amazing.
Since you saw it twice, what are your initial thoughts on this movie?
I really liked it. I thought it was a pretty decent send-off. I stayed until the last second of the credits both times just because I felt it, it might be the last time I ever hear the Indy March in a theater. I thought the cast did a relatively great job. I know a lot of people don't like Phoebe, but I think she was there because Harrison's 80 and he can't run around and jump and do everything that he used to. I thought the opening was great. Even the deep fakey AI Harrison looked really good. There's only a couple spots where he makes quick movements that the computer can't keep up with, that you could see a little bit of, oh, that's his stunt dude. But I thought all that was really well done.
Yeah, I thought that. I kind of felt the same way. In fact, I was telling Josh that I felt like there were actually times where it almost didn't look like his voice was syncing up with the deep fake. And I don't know if it was, again, like you said, just a matter of like it couldn't catch up with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Josh,
Yes.
what did you think? Were you asleep? Did you? Stay up the
No,
whole time?
I did actually. I stayed awake through the entire movie, which that is saying a lot because I cannot say that for the last like 6 movies I watched.
Old.
Yeah, I am.
I
No,
went first thing in the morning, so I wouldn't miss my nap.
There
Well,
you go. See, that's how you do
always
it.
Timing, yeah. No, I went to see a 7 p.m. IMAX show. I did it right. Good sound, big picture, blah blah blah. And I
Be
initially coming
honest.
initially coming out of the movie, I did like it.
Yeah.
And the more I think about it, the more I like certain parts of it, and there's certain parts that I really, really, really don't like. And I hate that about it because I wanted it to be more of a proper send off, and I felt like we kind of already got that with Crystal Skull, and I don't really understand why they felt the need to do this, but it was still. I don't know. Like I said, there were moments. There were moments that really captured me and really felt like indie. I did enjoy the opening, but I felt like all of the action sequences were so long that it really made the film feel very sluggish. I do feel also that s- the overall movie itself, you can tell that it was sort of pieced together from several different versions of itself, and it's hard to tell really what's what. I do like the more serious side of the story. I do like that they took their time with the story. It's not the length of the movie that I have a problem with. It's just the pacing of it. It feels uneven. The parts that are supposed to be exciting felt sluggish to me, and then the parts that I wanted to kind of dwell in a little bit longer and marinate. They kind of breeze through, um, and ultimately, I just really, even though I didn't have beef so much with the character that Phoebe Waller-Bridge was playing, I did not like what I felt they were doing with the character, because even though it was far less abrupt as what they did with Luke in The Last Jedi, I do feel like this movie very much kind of tore Indy down and made him. I mean, and I understand that he's old and he's sort of having to accept that he's not the man that he used to be, but he just he's so defeated that she spends the entire movie rescuing him from everything and making, one upping him, and even having better snarky comments than him, and pulling fast ones on him in ways that no other character could have done before with Indiana Jones. And I just feel like, is he really that dull? Like, is the knife's edge that worn that he can't follow through with this, that he can't really still be the hero of the story? And then in the end, she literally punches his lights out, and it's just like, wow, like there's just nothing left of this man. So I don't know. There were some touching moments. The stuff about his son, and the very end
When you
scene.
touched yourself.
Wow. Yes, they were
Okay.
moments of touching. Yes. And the end scene with Karen Allen was really well done, I thought. But I thought that it was well done because of the actors in it. They made
Right.
those moments good, not so much that the moments themselves were that well written. Um, so anyway, that's
You
that.
done?
Now I'll breathe and we'll continue.
You're a ball of joy.
I am always.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of, I don't know. So I wasn't sure how I felt about it while I was watching it. Then I let it marinate for a little bit, and I'm like, okay, it's fine. And now I'm just kind of like, I don't know. This movie's forgettable for me. It is. And as much as I hate Temple of Doom, there's still a rewatchability factor there, and for me that's always going to be the deciding factor. And I just don't know if I see myself rewatching this one. And I know a lot of people hate Kingdom of Crystal Skull, but I've been able to rewatch that one at least twice within the last year. I can tell you right now, I don't see myself doing that with this one. I think for 80 years old, Harrison Ford did a good job. Obviously, I don't know how many of the stunts he actually did. I mean, he did a couple because didn't they have to pause production because he injured himself for this movie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had to shut
So,
production down for 6 weeks because he hurt his shoulder.
crashing another plane? Or just.
What? No. Huh?
What?
He was actually
I don't
practicing a
know.
fight with Mad Metal Medicals and somehow through his shoulder just tore a muscle in there.
That's because he's 80.
Exactly.
No offense, but I don't. This movie just, in my opinion, just should not have happened, honestly. And there
Well,
was
it
an article
kind
that
of
I had
had to
read.
happen in a way.
I
Back in
guess
'79, when they made the original deal with Paramount, Spielberg and
Mhm.
him told Paramount that they would produce 5 movies
Oh
for them.
yeah, you're right.
The
Yeah,
first 3 were guaranteed, and then there was like a +2 added on the
right.
end. So I don't know if it was contractually obligated to make this.
If
Well,
it was
I
Or
didn't see
contractually
Paramount
obligated, then I
anywhere
could
on the
understand, but
the the production
well, it's
credits.
because Paramount now only gets an associate producer credit because of how things went with Disney.
Hmm.
So while they do some distributing overseas,
doo-doo.
in the
You did say
US, that's
doo-doo.
why their logo was second. You have the Disney logo, the Paramount logo, and then the Lucasfilm logo. But I
Such
think they
children.
had to kind of, make this. Plus, I kind of knew what movie I was walking into because of the director.
Yeah.
He made Copland and Walk the Line and Logan. If you've seen Logan, you
Oh
kind
yeah.
of knew how he was going to.
But see, I felt like we didn't get all of that though. Like I felt like it was going to be a much more serious film than it really was.
I actually thought the movie was kind of boring at certain parts. I mean, honestly, while a lot of people are saying they like the beginning, that's actually the part that dragged out for me the most. I thought that scene went on far too long, especially with the train sequence. And let's be honest here. I mean, my first initial thought when Moss Mickelson got thrown off the train was that dude should be dead. The way he hit that
The way
scene,
he got hit,
he
yeah.
should be dead.
That's the only thing. All 3 of us came out of the theater and said, "How has he not got a messed up head or
Yeah.
something?"
Why does he not look like Dr. Lovelace or something a while
No,
ago?
he was barely he like a very faint scar, and that was
Yeah,
it.
it's like, what? How did that happen? Because he got
Yeah.
tagged good. Well, I
Yeah.
like
You know,
in that whole sequence. One of the early drafts of this was, of course, Indiana Jones and the Spear of Destiny,
mhm.
which is about the
Okay.
spear that pierced Christ's
Christ,
side
yeah.
at the crucifixion.
Right.
And I like that they threw that in as an extra MacGuffin, that was what he was actually searching for in the first place, and didn't even
Correct,
know about
right.
this other stuff.
Right. Which
Because that was
I mean,
that was the story back in 2008. That was what George was working on initially. And this
I
story
guess
has
if
gone
they
back
were-
that probably
so
would have played
much.
better for audiences, honestly, because
I
it
think so
seems like
too.
the films that are thematically based on Judeo-Christian theology are
Those
the
are the ones that
ones
seem to
that
do better.
are the most well received.
Yeah. I mean,
In today's age, I don't know if it would have been. Honestly, you would have had to admit the existence of Christ, and then he would have had to. I mean, you
We
kind
already
of did
had
that with.
to for Holy Grail, so
Well,
Yeah.
that's
yeah,
already done.
but not as you would have to explain what the Spear of Destiny is, and most people outside of Catholicism don't really know what that is. Don't know who the Roman warrior was who stabbed him and took it, and how it went
they
through
could
all its
have
phases.
they could have easily done a
Yeah, I
little
mean,
brief
all they have to do is
explanation
say
like
what
they
they
did in
said. It's
Raiders when
the
he's
spear
talking
that
about
pierced Christ.
the spear
Done.
bra and all of that. They could have done that. And my other thing is, once again, if okay, let's say they were contractually obligated to do 5 films. Once again, I just don't know why they waited until Harrison Ford was 80 to do it this way. He would have come back for it, obviously, because he did it even now in his old age. So, he loves this character. He loves Indiana Jones. I think if they would have gotten the ball rolling a little faster out after Crystal Skull, this probably would have been a little bit better. I'm not trying to sound ageist or anything like that. Again, I think Harrison
Well,
Ford did
no,
fine for being 80 years
I
old. I
mean,
would be so lucky to move around like
This
that at
this went into
80.
production in 2014 with a final finished script and stuff, and then they started scouting locations, and then Harrison did have another accident,
There you go.
and that pushed it off a year, and then they started filming, and then of course they had to stop for almost a year because of COVID, and then they had to stop for another 6 weeks, and then it got pushed back and back. This movie was supposed to be out in 2020,
Gosh.
and it's gotten pushed back till now. One last push that it didn't need. I think this could have come out last Christmas and it would have done really, really well.
I don't know.
But
I
I don't
I
know. My third favorite film. It's replaced Temple of Doom.
Well, I'm not a Temple of Doom fan, and I'll say I did like it better than
neither.
Temple of Doom, but I don't know if I can say I liked it better than Crystal Skull.
I think the
Um,
one wasted bit was Antonio Banderas.
I said the
yeah,
same thing. I forgot that he was in it, and then I realized, well, wait, yeah, he is in the movie poster. And when he finally showed up, and then the way that they literally took him out, I
Yeah.
was like, did you even need him
I
for
mean,
this? I
I still
mean, somebody
pre-ordered the
like of
action
his
figure.
caliber,
Yeah.
yeah, but someone of his caliber, like that makes me feel like maybe if there's a future movie, he'd pop up again. But no,
Well,
you
there'll
killed him
be
right off. Like it's not
he'll
like
be
he was a
appear
big
in the
draw.
ancillary stuff in the comic, in the
Yeah,
books that are coming out. His character will show up and he'll be on there. But like you said, why cast him?
It could have been it that literally could have gone to absolutely anybody. It did not need
Anybody,
to go. Yeah,
you know.
I did not. I don't know. That kind of took me out of it because I was
they
like, oh,
cast him
look,
because I
Antonio, and then I'm
turned
like,
it
oh,
down. I turned it
Well,
down,
yeah.
yeah, well,
so
I
they had
still
to
think
go
they
with
should have
somebody.
somehow
missed
worked Tom
opportunity.
Selleck in to this
Second
one
choice. That would have been cool, actually, just because he was
as just
supposed to
an
be
old
indie.
throwback line. Should
Yeah,
have been Tom Selleck, George Lucas, and Steven Spielberg sitting in a cafe, like out in New York or something, waiting for the parade to start.
yeah,
And
that
only
would have been
certain
cool.
people know who that they are in the picture, you know,
Yeah,
because George would have to wear flannel. It's the 60s, you know,
he has
That's
to
his
wear
signature.
flannel.
Yeah,
that's his thing. So,
so true.
And I will say, I agree with Josh. While I do see, it definitely wasn't as much in your face as I thought it was going to be with Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I did think that they were going to go more like heavy on like feminist with the character, but I thought she was actually just fine. Now, I'm also a big Fleabag fan, which is where I know her from. I don't know if a
mhm.
lot of people have actually seen, the show, but I thought
I
she
don't think it's
was
very popular in the States.
I don't
Of
know
course, in
why,
the
because I
UK,
thought it
it's
was
very
very funny.
popular.
I mean,
I
I
thought it
don't
was
have
very funny.
any
I've
problem
seen it
with
a couple
her.
of times. I don't have any problems with
I
her
thought
either.
her performance was fine. I had no issue with her as an actress playing the part.
Me neither.
I felt like it was very subtle the way that they were doing it, but they were definitely using her character to, in essence, replace Indy. And from what I've heard, at one point she was supposed to completely replace him, and with some time travel stuff, and it was going to be kind of a she was always Indiana Jones sort of thing, which is
Oh, okay.
wild to me.
Yeah, no.
Um,
There
but
are, as far as I know, there are 11 different versions of the script.
yeah,
My
that's
gosh.
So when you
crazy.
said that was
It
kind of mashed
shows.
together, it
It
probably
shows.
was.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, I know that one point there was old Harrison and young Harrison were supposed to fight together. Like he's supposed to go back to the train and
Yeah.
meet himself on the train and save his younger self. And that was like in the third draft or something like that.
You
But
see,
I think
that's where I kind of
that
thought
could be
it
kind
was.
of cool.
And that's where I kind of thought it was going to go. So when they went back in time and obviously fucked it up and didn't go back to the time period that they were supposed to, while I had no problem with where they ended up because that was still kind of cool to see, that would have been the better story. And that's where I actually thought it was going to go. I thought we were going to end up on the
and
train
that's what the
again.
director said. He said he was completely using that as a red herring. That everybody
Mm,
thinks you're going to go back and like maybe he kills Hitler or something.
right.
But he's like, nope, that's not. We weren't ever doing that.
I don't know.
And it's one of those things where when this was originally Spear of Destiny, and then they
Mhm.
changed it to the Fountain of Youth storyline.
Mm.
And originally, I think that's why they brought Antonio Banderas on, because there was actually a bigger part in that version of a script that had a conquistador type person who he was supposed to be playing, who was searching, who had found the fountain but had lost it somehow, and he's trying to find it again before his time runs out.
I'm really sick and tired of hearing of what it was supposed to be, what it could have been, and this is what it was actually supposed to be, because every time I hear it, I think now that was the better story. Why
That
didn't
was
they
better.
go
Why? Yeah.
that way? Like what you just described right now to me was a lot better than what I
Much
saw.
more intriguing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And listen, I didn't have a problem, but again, this is something that, Josh and I have been talking about a lot recently is with the multiverse in Marvel and the time travel stuff in the Flash movie, even with the DC stuff. Now this involved time travel. I am just so sick of the time travel trope. That's my problem. It's becoming so overplayed. That was my
And
issue
if
with
it
the
was
movie.
supposed to be a study on, this aging character and what he's going through in his later years,
Hmm.
having the fountain of youth be what he's searching for,
That would make
you would,
much more sense.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you would think that it would be much more of a driver for him to try
But
to
in the
attain
script
that.
we got, that's not the Indy we have. The Indy we have is tired. He's like he says he's had most of the
But that
bones
would
in
be
his body
something to
broken. He's
spark
been
that
shot.
fire back in him, the
Yeah,
chance
and which he
to
has at
be
the
young
end of the
again.
movie. But at the moment, he doesn't.
Which
His wife left him. His son is dead. He still has Sala, but how often do they talk or whatever? And he's stuck in a job he doesn't like that he's being possibly forcibly retired out of. His students don't respect him because they're not even paying attention to his class at
oh,
all.
they're dumb fucks.
They're
Yeah, and
dumb.
they're dumb fucks.
And,
Yeah.
he's got this wayward goddaughter he's not seen in 12 years or more who clearly idolizes Indy, has basically built her
Yeah.
life around the image of Indiana Jones. And the director said he definitely wanted for Phoebe to be kind of what you would have thought Marion would have been like in her prime if she had went on the
Right.
adventures with
Right.
Indy.
See, and that's more of what I was thinking they should have done is maybe, I mean,
But I
yeah,
don't feel
I
that way. I
understand.
feel like she's using him so much.
I understand wanting to get Shia out of it because of just his shenanigans or whatever. So yeah, there are
Right.
plenty of ways they could have written Mutt out without killing him, and it could have been all about Indy wanting to find the fountain of youth in order to regain youth not only for himself but for Marion as well, so that the two of them can have the opportunity to have that life together in their youth that they were denied by, you know, begrudging one another for one reason or another.
Yeah.
And like I could see that being a driving force, and it could incorporate the idea of Marion being young again and being that adventurous self that she once was. I mean, we don't need to have. I don't understand why they felt such a need to focus on these new characters when it's supposed to be a send off for the old. And
Right.
it's
And
the same issue
right.
that they did with that I had with what they did with Star Wars. Like, why even incorporate the old characters if you're not going to do them justice and make the story about them? It's supposed to be their goodbye, not the hello to these new people. They're not going to make more movies, not with her character.
I mean,
So
they honestly did kind of, in my opinion, give him a little bit of the Luke Skywalker treatment because I knew the moment that she punched him out to bring him back on the plane to get him back to his time period. I already knew like, oh, this is going to be the moment that everyone says, well, here she is, coming to rescue Indy. And in my personal opinion, I just don't feel like that is something that Indiana Jones would do, regardless of what his situation is at home. He knows the awful effects it would have if he would have stayed in that time period with Archimedes. And for
Like
someone,
Archimedes said, he was supposed to be there. He was
I
always supposed to meet Archimedes.
that
meet
moment, yeah,
Yeah,
that
but he
moment,
wasn't
but
but
supposed to
not
stay.
still,
stay there and live out
Yeah,
the rest of his
and
life
Indy,
there.
it was very out of character for Indy to
I
not
don't, yeah, like I
acknowledge
remember
that.
feeling very strangely about that. And I'm like, why is he staying? I was like, this doesn't feel right. I
Someone that's
don't
all
think he
about
should be staying.
preserving history wouldn't want to do something that could
Want to
distort it so
tamper with
badly.
history.
Yeah.
Exactly,
well,
exactly.
depends. He could have
I mean,
become
how
an
many?
oracle, and he could have just observed and not
You
Uh,
know,
interfered.
that's not gonna happen.
it wouldn't
You
have.
know
And
that's not
how
gonna
many times did
happen.
he say during this movie again? A little Easter egg callback or whatever. How many times did he say, this belongs in a museum? So I mean, he was
But
all about preserving the
being
history.
Raiders of the Lost Ark is what got me into history.
Right.
It was for the longest time I actually wanted to be an archaeologist, and then I decided I wanted to be a history teacher.
Mm-hmm.
But to have the opportunity to be at one of those historical events, I don't know, the movie hit differently for me as an older guy who doesn't really have anything clinging me to this world as it is.
Right.
Being given that opportunity to go watch the Battle of Syracuse and to know that, you could, converse with Archimedes and, you wouldn't tell him anything, but because you can't, at that time period, you can't change much unless you were going to, like, now we have to deal with where's the wreckage of that plane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, they've already kind of messed with time just by being
time is
there.
already screwed up because that plane is there.
Yeah, I mean, and yes, they were calling it dragons, but now you've left it there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who's gonna clean up, the wreckage and stuff like that? And these people are gonna
It
be
would have
wondering
been
what the heck
interesting
this
to have
is.
had there were no end credit scenes, of course.
No, you're right, right.
But it would have been interesting to have an end credit scene of like an archaeological dig happening at Syracuse.
And then
And
finding
they
the
brush the
plane
sand
wreckage.
away and the Iron Cross from the plane is there.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, I would have been okay with that.
And that would have, because they have no interest in doing, I mean, the television series they were doing didn't even have Indiana Jones in it because it was about Ravenwood. It was about Marion's dad. And if Indy would have been in it, he would have probably been in a second or third season as a student.
Yeah.
Because too much of that would have overlapped with the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Yeah.
Because we know what Indy was doing up until about 4 years before Raiders of the Lost Ark. So you can't overlap anything that's already, I mean, you can't.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just, when it comes to Indiana Jones, because it is based on, these old serials and stuff like that. And it reminds me so much of old Hollywood. And when I think of old Hollywood, I just do think of happy endings. And I feel like Kingdom of Crystal Skull just gave us a better ending for Indy. I would have been perfectly fine with that movie ending, with him getting married with Marion, knowing that, okay, now he's found that he has this son and it's not too late to shape him and mold him, and that he just continued out, the rest of his life teaching, shaping his son. Maybe he did an adventure here and there. Like, I guess I just didn't need to see an 80-year-old Indiana Jones running around.
Yeah, there was definitely more of a sense of closure.
I was happy because I've seen a 91-year-old Indiana Jones running around. So, because that's how old he is in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Yeah.
And he begins every episode by telling a story to somebody. And I just, in my mind, Indy is always that age. That's when Indy passes away in 99. I think he's 100 because he was born in 1899.
Okay.
And I believe he lives to be almost exactly 100 before he passes away.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't like the way they did Mutt. I don't mind that he joined the military. I don't mind that he died. Mm-hmm. I do mind that even after Crystal Skull, they still didn't seem to have any kind of real relationship, and that Mutt was still going out of his way to be a jerk.
Yeah.
And that just seemed to put a bigger and bigger strain on his and Marion's relationship.
Which I didn't like. I didn't like any of that. And I get it. They needed something to drive the plot forward. I don't feel like they needed to tear Marion and Indy apart, even if it was only for a brief time. And I get it. They weren't like actually, divorced in the movie. They were only separated. So you kind of saw it coming. The chances are they were going to reconcile in the very end. Like, I wasn't that surprised to see her. I guess the last movie ended so happily, I didn't see the need to kind of destroy that relationship. A relationship that I've been wanting to see happen since you saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. I always wanted them to be together. I've said many times that they have better chemistry, honestly, than Han and Leia. So, when I was actually really shocked when I heard that they were separated in the movie. I was like, what? I was like, she's petitioning for divorce. what the fuck happened?
Well,
And
and
he
I'd
starts
like to know what
explaining about
she was
Mutt,
doing.
which I understood, but
What was she doing with her life at that time when Mutt
Yeah.
dies? Was she part of the? I would assume she would have been part of the women's lib movement.
Most likely.
Possibly, really, Mutt's death pushed her into the anti-war movement.
yeah,
I could see that.
for
And
sure.
that's the other part of Phoebe's performances is she's clearly, in a good example of the women's lib.
Mhm.
Same with, I don't know her character's name because I didn't catch it quick enough. The black CIA / FBI.
Oh, I loved her.
Yeah,
I
she
actually
was
really
great.
liked her
Yeah.
character. I
She
really
was
enjoyed
great.
her character,
I did
honestly.
like
I
her
really
too.
liked
Yeah.
her. I would have liked her to stick around just a little
Yeah,
bit.
I really connected
Yeah.
to that character. I was actually
Um,
deeply upset when they
And
killed
then,
her off.
all the side characters just kind of go away.
Yeah.
And
they
that's
just,
my other
one by one, they
thing.
just disappear.
Okay, I love Moss Mikkelsen. I really, really, really do. I think he's a fine actor and has a very imposing look to him and this and that, but he fell flat for me in this movie,
For me,
honestly.
every time I saw him in his suit wandering around doing anything, especially when they were Sicily or Vienna, whenever, I thought he was Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
That's what I can
Totally.
see him from is that TV
No, it was
series.
very Hannibal in this. Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
like, he's going to eat that kid.
Yeah.
He's just like walking around like I feel like
He's-
that's all he's doing.
He's
Yeah.
great, but he's a little one note.
Yeah,
You know
he's
what I
not
mean?
nearly as menacing
Yeah.
as Tote. He's not, Belloc was a lot more menacing. I think that
Oh, I loved Belloc.
I have this problem with a lot of movies. It's the graying of Hollywood and not just
Mhm.
age. I mean, if you think of Raiders and Temple and Last Crusade, there are good guys and bad guys. They're black and white.
Right.
Yeah.
And
It's very
now
well defined.
in this movie especially, lives in a very gray world. You had
Yeah.
Matt Mikkelsen's character, who's obviously part of Operation Paperclip, that brought the Nazis into NASA to do our space program for us. Personally, I used to work in a building that had a little statue of Vernon von Braun. I really didn't like that, but we had our good Nazis.
Yeah.
I think that's a problem. Is there's no good or evil, and everybody tries to play this middle of the road, and the heroes aren't good, and the villains aren't super bad unless they're over the top bad.
They're
Right.
not well defined at all, like they used to
Yeah,
be.
they're not
I
defined. They're
completely
just all
agree.
great. Like over your shoulder there, Josh, is the Nazi commander from the beginning of the movie that's barely in the flick.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he was a good throwaway red herring for the poster.
Right. Right.
But
right.
and he was a bad guy. But
Yeah.
all the Nazis around him weren't. I was really amazed they actually used the swastika. I know I would have thought that would have been something where they would have just taken off the uniforms and stuff, but I'm glad they didn't.
No.
Yeah.
It should be period accurate.
It should be period accurate. And I just think that this movie doesn't really have, well, Mads is a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's not really horrible. Sure, he kills Antonio Banderas, but really everybody else just kind of happens around them.
Yeah.
Even the guy I really wanted, the thing I wanted and nobody else does, is I wanted Phoebe's fiance to come back at some point.
That guy was crazy.
That guy was hilarious, and
He was
clearly
nuts.
they had something going.
Oh yeah.
That was
And I
actually kind of
wanted-
a fun scene for me.
Yeah, that whole
Another
It was a
scene
little
that
long,
It went
but-
a little long because it got a little ridiculous because of what they were
and that's
driving. But it
each
was
of
it was fun.
like Josh said, each of the stunt pieces went
Mhm.
on too long.
Very.
I know that in one version of the script, that de-aging train bit was only 10 minutes long. In the movie, it's 25.
It's
But
it's
it
a good
feels
half
it.
hour. Yeah.
So, and it
Yeah.
goes on way too long, I think. Although I do love Toby. He's great in everything he does.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Toby
Oh, yeah,
Jones
yeah.
And
was
so I
great.
love
he was-
watching him,
yeah.
especially. Have you ever seen The Detectorists?
Mm.
No.
Oh, it's an incredible series. They're these two dudes, they're best friends, and they're metal detectorists in England.
Mm-hmm.
You would think this is the most boring show. It's 3 seasons, and it's hilarious, and it's really a good show. Give it
I'm gonna have to check
give
it
it at
out.
least an episode. But I really enjoyed the cast, even the kid. I don't remember the actor's name. It's a character is Toby. he was his own little MacGuffin because he had to be. We had to have somebody small to get into certain areas.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And
dude,
I didn't have a problem with him. I
I
thought
actually liked that
he was
kid.
fine.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
really good actually.
that monster that was with them. He's 7'2",
Oh,
308 pounds. I was like at the inside, I saw him like, holy crap.
That dude needs to play Jaws in a Bond film.
Yes.
Yeah. The other people I thought of was you know the guy in The Rocketeer that bends people in half?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, oh my god, he's gonna kill, and he didn't do anything.
Not
It's
really.
like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like that episode
Yeah,
of The
like even the
Simpsons where
lackey stuck.
the Japanese mafia comes and Homer's looking at, and he's like, look, that little guy in the white suit's not doing anything. Come back to bed, Homer. No, you just know he's gonna do something cool when I'm not looking.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
And I
though.
was really hoping also that Short Round would have made an appearance some way somehow.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
That would have
if
been
they wouldn't
so
have killed
nice.
him, Short Round could have played Antonio Banderas' character.
Yeah.
That would have been
That
cool.
He's
I would have,
left
yeah.
the area. He's got a fishing boat. I would rather have had him be more successful
Hmm.
than Antonio's character was.
Right.
Yeah.
And that he knows someone and then he goes back. But like they were saying, they didn't even think about that because they were already shoehorning in Marion and Sala. And
Yeah.
they didn't want to just make this a big repeat. You know, we saw pictures of Mutt. We saw pictures of his dad.
Right.
Brody was mentioned. You know, it's already got so much of all three movies in it. He talks about Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
You know, have
Yeah,
you
he
ever
does.
had to drink the blood of Kalima?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
I did catch those things.
That was pretty funny.
And I
But
did. I mean, that
that's
was that
that's
was
what he
actually my
brings
favorite
up.
part. And
That
that was
he-
actually my
you know,
favorite part. Yeah,
I've been
the
shot
end.
9 times, including once by your father.
Yes. My father shot you. But I did like the end at least when they do finally show Marion and it's just them two and they do the same scene that they did on the boat in Raiders of the
No,
Lost
that
Ark.
was great.
Yeah.
Just
Here
kind of
and
reversed it. Yeah.
here. Like
And
that
I
was
love
probably
the
the
ending where
one
they
time that
do the zoom, the
that I
iris
did.
in
I
and
did.
grabs
I
his
like
hat.
that.
I
He
like
grabbed the
that.
hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
did
like that much better than when they did it at the end of season 3 of The Mandalorian with little Grogu.
Yeah.
That was just out of place and weird.
I
It was weird.
hated that. We're not here to talk about that, Josh.
I'm just
We
saying.
can save that. We can save that for another sticky spot if you want to.
Yeah, that'll get real sticky. But no,
But-
I you know, it was, yeah, I have to agree with Shanti. It was pretty unremarkable.
Yeah,
as a film.
I'm sorry. Like this one's actually at the very bottom for me. It's gonna be Raiders, Crusade. I'm sorry, Crystal Skull, Temple of Doom, and this one last. I don't see myself rewatching this one.
I liked it better than Temple of Doom, but I really don't like that movie.
I give that movie a lot of shit, but really, I mean, when I sit down and think about it, I mean, really the only thing that I truly hate about Temple of Doom really is the bug scene. That's really the only scene I can't stand. Other than that, the movie's just fine. The movie's exciting. There's a lot of
It's-
action. It's mystical and
It's
you
the
know,
whole
Kate
dinner
Cap-
scene for
Kate-
me.
Kate
The dinner scene
Capshaw's
was pretty
playing
bad.
the typical screaming queen, whatever.
When they cut into the snake and more little snakes come out, I was done.
See,
No.
that doesn't bother me. I know that
Yeah,
that's
I'm with Indy on that.
doesn't
I
bother me at all.
why did I did appreciate that when he was like, "Yeah, they look like snakes," talking about the eels, and he's like,
Oh,
"Don't
the
say that,
eels.
you know, they don't look
He's
like
like, "No, they
snakes."
don't. They don't look like
Why, you know, and then they had a little thing with some bugs. At one point I just wanted a
closed my
rat to
eyes.
run across the screen.
I close my eyes.
Just
Yeah.
to get those. To get all
Yeah,
three.
because we
in
didn't
would
get
be
we
good.
didn't get the rats
As
like
soon
we
as
had
I
in
saw the
Last
head of
Crusade.
that one millipede popping out, I was like,
Ugh.
nope, that's it.
Yeah.
This is where I close my eyes.
I don't
I
do
was
bugs.
done.
That's why I can't live in Florida, Shanty. I'm sorry.
Yeah, why do you think I'm trying to get the hell out?
Yeah.
Oh, they're everywhere. Trust me.
Today was.
No, I know they
mean,
are. I know. They
Oh
are.
my God! Our high was 67.
I
They've
wish.
put a winter storm warning into effect for the mountains because they're talking about snow up in the higher elevations because it got so cold and
That's
we're wet
wild.
today.
It's
And then tomorrow afternoon it's
July.
supposed to be like 90 again.
My
So
God.
we're very weird. But
That's
I
pretty
the
manic
soundtrack.
weather you got there.
Once again we got to see what John Williams can do when he's given
Oh.
time.
Yeah, and it was
Yes.
superb. I had no
Yeah.
issue with the music, and
No, I
like
had.
you, I sat through the credits just because for the same reason. It's like, when else am I going to get to hear this music again up on the big screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually the last one to leave my auditorium because I just wanted to sit there and just take in
One of
the
our theaters
music.
here in town plays Raiders like every other month, and
Yeah.
sometimes they'll
Yeah.
play Crusade instead. So I'll go sit and watch it. But
Well,
just to
those two
sit there, and
will
honestly,
always be
I
the
had
best.
at the very end when it's him and Marion, and the music starts up, I'm fine to say I had a tear.
Oh, I did
Yeah,
too. I
it
started
was
to
And
tear.
emotional for me. I mean, like I said earlier,
I
that
love
and the
those
scene where
two.
he describes what happened to Mutt, like
Hmm.
those were two very well acted scenes, and by themselves they were excellent. But I just feel like there were
I,
several little moments like that of excellence, and then the rest of the movie was just kind of
Yeah.
a
well, I
jumbled
think it's because
mess.
in Crystal Skull, a lot of people complain that there weren't enough action pieces in it,
I
that there was too much dialogue, that there was too much slow bits.
I
So I
don't
think
feel
they
that way.
deliberately upped this because when they do have their down moments, they're
Hmm.
both incredibly good actors and they both act really
Oh yeah.
well. And
Mm,
Phoebe's really good because she's trying to play it off like she's now with her mentor, who she
Hmm.
really hasn't been. She was left with an insane father that she had to
Yeah.
take care of. And then she's had to be on her own for a while.
You're right.
But then those moments, like you said, were so short, and then we were off to the next thing. Like I think there should have been, and I bet you there is, cut scenes on the boat with Antonio Banderas, with
Yeah.
maybe her and him, or Harrison and him, um, that just fill out not only why he was cast,
Hmm.
but something for him to do, to not just be a boat driver
Yeah.
and to
yeah.
get shot and killed, and then that's that.
And it's funny
You
that you
know,
say that because I feel the opposite. I feel like Crystal Skull, or maybe they both have action, but I guess maybe I feel Crystal Skull had the better action, honestly.
Except for those
I
damn
don't know,
monkeys.
it just
damn
felt
monkeys.
more that movie actually did feel more like an Indiana Jones movie than this did. I kind of agree with a lot of people that have been saying you could feel you could definitely tell like this wasn't directed by Spielberg. It was definitely missing that Spielberg
See, I
magic.
feel the opposite because I think Steven Spielberg is broken and has been for a long time.
Right, right.
Um, to my mind, he hasn't made a fun movie since he made Schindler's List. Everything he's done has
What?
been
What? Whoa, wait,
no,
wait.
no. I didn't say
I
good
don't
movie.
know.
I didn't say good movie. I said
but
fun. If you look at
but
everything he
I
Schindler's
don't
List is
before
know if
not
Schindler's,
Schindler's
fun.
List is
exactly,
fun.
Schindler's List
So
broke him. Schindler's List broke him, and then he went on and made Saving Private Ryan, which hurt him even more. It's the same reason I think that we lost Jim Carrey for quite a while because after Man on the Moon,
Mhm.
he put everything, his whole soul, literally into that movie, and it broke him.
Yeah.
I saw an interview with
see
him
that.
recently, and they were talking about how people have liked his performance in Sonic, and he
Mhm.
said, "Well, that's because I'm playing Jim Carrey.
Right.
I
Right.
don't know
Yeah.
who I am really anymore, but I can be Jim Carrey again. I can be
Mhm.
that character again." And I think it's the same way. I actually think this guy did some very Spielbergian things. But Spielberg, to me, I love pretty much, I'd say 98% of everything Spielberg has ever put out.
Yeah.
But you don't go to watch a Spielberg movie to have fun anymore. He even tried with Ready Player One, and that was okay. But then it
Yeah.
seemed like he was trying to copy himself
Yeah.
and do things. But I can't think of anything he's made since Schindler's List that's been fun to go to.
Right. Right.
They're all beautiful Oscar-winning movies. It's like when those comedians that like Robin Williams and stuff, when they stop being funny and they want to go for an Oscar, and then they never seem to be able to capture that feeling of being themselves again.
I can see that.
But
But is
it could
that them
just
not
be
being
me.
able to recapture it, or our perception of them after seeing them in a different light
And that's
that's
that's a
altered?
great possibility too, because then you look at
Mhm.
Schindler's List, you look at Saving Private Ryan, you look at those movies, and you say this, and he wasted his time with Jaws. this is what he's capable of, and he made Close Encounters, and he made Indiana Jones.
Hey, now
and
Close Encounters is
Close
fantastic.
Encounters is amazing.
all of those pre-movies
I
are
put that on
fantastic.
this.
With the
I put
possible
that on the
exception
same
of
level
E.T.
with Schindler's List. And
Yeah, I
whatnot.
just think it shows his range, if anything.
It does show his range, but I
I mean, he
miss
did the
that
color
old-
purple back in the day, in the midst of all of those more lighthearted
He
things.
did, but even in interviews and stuff, he says he would shoot it completely different now.
Mhm.
He's learned a lot since then.
Exactly. He's learned more, and you can see his growth. And it's not, like I'm saying, it's not like, Lucas, who can only seem to shoot in one way.
Right.
But because he doesn't really reach out and do stuff other than Star Wars and American Graffiti. When he produces stuff, he does different things, and he'll be there and he'll help. But I don't know. I did feel that it wasn't. I knew what I was walking into with this director.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people didn't, because his name isn't somebody you think of.
Right.
Right. If you didn't know his name connected to Logan, more than likely, because I'd forgotten until recently that he did Walk the Line, which was another really good movie, but also
Yeah, I
very
love that movie.
sad
Mhm.
about
Yeah.
a broken man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And oddly,
really
that's
like
what
it.
I wanted
I'll
more
see
of
them.
from this. I don't know.
I'll pre-order it because I have to have it on physical media to go with my others.
Oh yeah.
I've clearly already bought into some of the merchandise.
Yeah, I see that.
So
Yeah. Me too.
Hey.
It's okay.
even Phoebe,
Yeah.
I got
Listen,
her over
Yep.
here, which she didn't do that at all, really. But that's
I
okay.
still love Indiana Jones, so
Yeah,
I'm sure
like I
I'll
said,
watch it one more time.
Anything with Indy. What I really would have preferred them to have done, if you go on YouTube, you can find it.
Mhm.
There's some guys who did some animated
Ooh.
Indy. The style is a little different, but they would have worked. You could have had an anthology series where this takes place anytime between, say, 1907 and 1999. You could have had any time. There's plenty of people, including Mark Hamill, who do incredible Harrison Ford impersonations.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I would.
You wouldn't have
totally
need Harrison's
down for that.
involvement at all.
Yeah,
You just would have had him to say, we would like you to give you money, and we're making a cartoon. Wow. Okay.
I think we all know Harrison's about the paycheck.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
This is slightly off topic, but my roommates just finished 1923 last night.
Oh,
I am absolutely
Good.
convinced that Harrison is only in that series because he got to sit down for most of it.
he's no dummy.
He is no
Hey.
dummy.
He's no
And I'm not,
dummy.
I won't give any of the plot points away, but from like episode 2 to episode 8, he really sits or lays down for almost all of it. And
Wow.
I have
Easy
lots
money.
of issues with that show and the 1883 show that came on before it. But that's only because I don't like historical inaccuracies and things.
Yeah, wow.
But
Yet you liked this movie.
I
Wow.
know.
yes, but there's no historical inaccuracies in it. The Dial of Destiny is based on a real object. And Einstein seems to think that temporal wormholes exist.
But you were
Hawking
okay
did.
with Indy Stain.
I was okay with Indy Stain. I would have stayed myself. Because I still think, because depending on your point of view, we're talking either Back to the Future
Okay, Obi-Wan.
or Marvel. If it's Back to the Future, him staying instantly created time ripples.
Right.
But because they didn't, because he'd already lived the time after he would have stayed there, he knows he could have stayed there and not hurt the future.
Mhm.
This is why I hate
Don't
time
think
travel
about
stuff.
it. Don't think about it. It'll
Yeah,
hurt your
don't.
head.
Don't.
But if he was
Too late.
always meant to be there, he
Too
could
late.
have stayed. But she knew that there's a possibility, because she believes in the Back to the Future
Right.
timeline, that he would fuck something up and create a completely different timeline. So
I
he,
mean-
she
I
punches
just
in
think
and
human
goes.
nature. I just think human nature would set in, and people are just incapable of keeping their mouth shut.
Of course,
It is,
especially
it
Indiana
is more
Jones.
Spielberg, I'm just saying.
You know.
Well, he's not
true.
a biologist or anything. I bet you Indiana Jones would have come up with penicillin. And if he would have created penicillin in ancient Rome, in ancient Greece, that would have changed the entire
Everything.
planet.
Yeah.
So, and it's the Captain America effect.
Yeah.
How did Captain America just sit and let JFK get killed?
Right.
How did
Right.
he sit and let Martin Luther King get killed? How did he sit and let the Watergate stuff happen? He knew all this stuff happened, and somehow, we don't know how yet, he was able to stay out of it while his wife ran Shield.
Because he was too busy boinking Peggy at night. When
That's
she got
fine.
home.
I have no problem with that. In fact,
Getting
I'm
that
looking
last
forward to
dance
that.
in the bedroom. That's what was
Hey,
happening.
hi.
Yeah.
You know, it's
He
the
was an
Wakanda
agent of her
effect,
shield. I'm just saying.
Can you please?
What? What?
Wow.
Wow.
Anyway, okay. I think it's time to get to the most important part here is how much frosting are we going to put on these cinnamon rolls? So, out of 4 splats, Ghosty, how many would you give this movie?
3.
3. Okay. Josh?
I'll give it 2 splats.
I think
I
I'm going to
still
give
found
it 2 as
entertaining
well.
at times. So
Yeah, I'm going to give it 2 as well. So, that gives us 3 then. All right, that did a lot better than the Flash, that's for sure.
The Flash comes out on streaming on the 18th.
On the 18th.
So
Okay,
I will
good.
watch it
So
then.
I know not to watch it.
Yeah.
I'll rewatch it. So hopefully I can be conscious through the 20, 30 minutes in the middle that I
Well,
slept
and
through.
Josh, I've never actually had a chance to talk to you about this, but while we have a second, how do you think that these movies moving to stream so quickly has affected box office takes?
I mean,
now I know that the Flash is coming out on the 18th. I have no interest in seeing it in the theater at all. But if they were to
initially
suddenly
it
come
was a
out and
big
say that
issue,
Indy was
but
coming out on middle of August,
initially it was a big issue because the window was so much shorter.
Right.
But I mean, the reality of it is most films, I'm not going to say all, but most films, you're going to get the bulk of your business in the first 3 weekends, so.
Yeah.
And pretty much all the studios have signed deals that guarantee a 45-day window before they'll move it to streaming. And that's
isn't that
minimum.
crazy? Because it used to be 90, and before that, it was 6 months.
Oh, I know. I mean, I remember Titanic was out for like a year.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was still filling
They did that
auditoriums.
forever. Oh yeah. I did the math wrong, by the way. It's 2 splats.
And Star Wars got re-released all
It was like
constantly.
2.5.
2.33333.
Wow.
Like witchcraft.
But yeah, I mean, I do think that there has been a little bit of an impact, but I also think that if people want to see the movie, they're going to come out and see it in theaters if that's their thing.
Yeah.
And people that are willing to wait would have been willing to wait before, just as they are. If you're hyped for the movie, you're going to go see the movie. I mean, you passed on Flash, but you've seen Indiana Jones twice. You see what I'm saying? So I mean,
Right.
And we've got our tickets for Mission Impossible.
Oh,
I'm
that's gonna
telling
be
you
great.
right
I love
now,
those movies.
Tom
Other
Cruise
than the second one.
again. Tom
The
Cruise
second
again
one is
is
horrible.
gonna kill it.
It's just a John Woo action film. It's not
Yeah.
a Mission Impossible movie.
But Tom Cruise again is proving though that we need to kind of stop with a lot of the agenda pushing and stuff like that, because he did Maverick, didn't find any agenda pushing in that. He wrote a great female character too in that. Jennifer Connelly was great, totally action packed, a lot of fun, engaging. And look how long that was in the theater for. That stayed
Oh,
in the
yeah.
theater for a long time. And I can tell you right now, going to the theater that I've been going to, no, believe me, I don't think, as much as people want to say, oh, but it's so expensive and this and that, you know what? People will pay.
Even
And I
after Maverick was
people will
streaming, people
pay
were still coming and
because they
filling the
re-released it. They
auditoriums.
even
because
re-released
you
it
can't
again.
watch Top Gun on TV.
You can't. You
Exactly.
can't. You
And
can't
that's how
watch
I feel
Mission
about this movie
Impossible on
too.
TV.
There are certain movies that I don't need to see on the big
That's why I
screen.
didn't want to watch Indiana Jones when it came. I didn't want to wait for
I
this
think
to
Indy is
stream.
something that needs to be on the big screen, like a
I
James
agree.
Absolutely.
Bond movie or Star
Absolutely.
Wars or Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
But
The
still,
Batman movies and like Marvelish films, that kind of genre needs. I don't need to go watch a rom com
Yeah.
on a big screen.
right. But
And there has
still,
been the beginnings of that shift. I mean, that is going to be a thing where it's going to be more of those tentpole type pictures that have more of a run in the
but you
theatrical market.
still need to
Yeah.
give us a good story. You just can't bank
Oh yeah.
anymore on the name Indiana Jones because at the end of the day, everything that I've been seeing, there still weren't a lot of butts in the seats. I checked a lot of my theaters. There were a lot of seats open. My
It was
auditorium
very
was
slow
pretty,
weekend.
honestly, there were more people in the auditorium with me watching the re-release of Raiders, which I saw 3 weeks ago. There were more people in that theater than I would say in this movie. That's why I say I am looking forward to seeing how Mission Impossible does. I am looking forward to see how the Barbie movie does and Oppenheimer, because if there is one thing that the theaters are lacking right now, it is choices. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to see that there's all these different things going on.
Yeah,
And
it's
you know
great
what?
counter programming. It really,
You know
really
what? I
is.
saw
Yeah.
the Jennifer Lawrence movie in the theater. I
I
was
am so
bored.
happy that that movie exists
I was
because I
bored.
really
I was like,
thought
you
the
know what? Let me
raunchy
just go.
comedies
I
were
loved it.
done.
Gone.
I
Yeah.
Were
loved it.
gone. I
And
didn't
you know what
think
the
you could
funny
have
part is?
anything like that anymore.
It's really not that raunchy.
Well, and
In my personal
I think the
opinion,
commercials make it look to me more raunchy.
it's
I think
really
what's
not.
kind of made it more acceptable is it's that she's the one being raunchy.
There's
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
scene, I think there's one scene in the entire movie where there's nudity. And it's her. It's played completely for comedic effect. And that is probably the only reason why I would say that it deserved a
There's
rated
Note
R.
to self: watch
nudity. Hang
this
on a
movie.
sec. Whoa.
It happens kind of at the beginning, so you could probably stop after that. But
Okay.
honestly, Jennifer Lawrence was very funny. She's not my favorite person in the world, but she was actually really funny. I think it's a good route for her to go is, playing the pretty girl that's being completely funny and outlandish and
Yeah.
doing physical comedy. Like it actually worked for her. And I did. I'm with you, Ghost. I miss comedies. I miss the teen comedy. Teen comedies don't exist anymore.
Yeah, you can't because you can't have all of that's problematic.
Mhm.
We
You
gotta
know,
change that. I'm
you
sorry,
can't.
you gotta have a sense of humor
No,
about
I
stuff.
think we're going to get back to it.
I
I think
do.
that
I really
I mean
do.
because it's hurting Hollywood's wallet. Because the reality of it is the average moviegoer, the bulk of the populace, the people that make the money for them, they want things to be like they were before.
The pendulum's always
So
going to swing back and forth. It
yeah,
can't just stay
Mhm.
to one side for very long.
Well,
Eventually,
and
it's
there
got
was
to
that
swing
time
the
in the
other way.
'90s where we had like Super Bad and all those
Oh
endless
my god, I
teen,
love Superbad and
so
American
many of those
Pie
bad.
and Can't Hardly Wait and
And yeah,
Clueless, Never Been Kissed. I mean, I can name all of these. I can't
well, we don't even
name
get
anything
rom
of
coms
recent.
anymore.
No.
My mom loved rom coms, of course, and her favorite thing in the entire universe is when Christmas would start and Hallmark had their rom com night every night, a new rom com movie for her to
But
watch.
we've oversaturated the market.
But she doesn't. She never had anything. She didn't go to movies anymore because there wasn't anything she ever wanted to watch.
Same thing with my parents. My dad
that's the
was,
problem. Yeah.
always talking about, oh, all it is all these superhero movies. There's nothing to watch anymore. I have nothing to choose from. Like, I understand, yes, we're very happy as nerds because we feel vindicated in some way due to childhood trauma and everything that we went through from
Yeah.
being nerds. So I understand it. But there's also got to be a balance too,
Mhm.
because if not, it's going to get to the point where they're just going to go back to hating us nerds
Yeah.
and dorks again. And I don't
Just
want
I
I'm
think
that.
tired of seeing all that nerd crap.
I think they're too
Those
strong. I
fucking
don't think you can
nerds.
stop it, especially with Marvel. Marvel's really got a flat tire at the moment, but I
Yes,
think
they
it's going to
do.
pick itself back up again.
I hope so.
But yeah, I mean, look, we've
I mean, I
got
still want to see
Indiana
them in the
Jones, we
theater,
have
but not
Mission
all the time.
Impossible, we have Barbie, we have Haunted Mansion, we have
I
Oppenheimer, all coming out this month.
Haunted Mansion
I
actually
think it's a
looks kind
good
of
month
cute.
for movies.
Yeah.
I'm Assuming you're gonna go see Haunted Mansion, right?
Of course.
Thousandth Ghost.
I have my tickets,
Good.
so
Good.
we're all going to go.
You got to tell us how it is.
I'm pleasantly looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think
still
it'll be
wish
better
that
than the Eddie
people would
Murphy
stop
one.
shooting on digital and go back to film so I could see,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's so dark. The trailer was like, I can't see what's going
I
on
know.
90% of the time.
True.
I
It's
agree.
true.
And then they put out that, they can go too far. They did
Yeah.
put a trailer in front of our film for that GameStop movie.
That looks good.
See, and I just was like, why was this even made? What is
I
going
think it looks
on?
good. I like it.
I was just happy they got it and are going to get it in theaters before GameStop goes bankrupt.
It's a last-ditch effort to keep them afloat.
It is. And why don't people see that's in some sort of insider trading thing?
Yeah,
I think it's
exactly what
hilarious.
it is. It's exactly what it is. No, you're not wrong at all. That's exactly what it is.
And then we saw Jason Statham is like in 2 or 3 movies, and we saw trailers for each of them. It's like, damn you, Jason Statham, what are you doing?
I'm not watching that Meg 2
Yeah.
movie.
Oh, I know, right?
I'm not
What the
watching
hell?
that shit. I'm sorry.
I forgot.
I had
that
so
first
many
one
trailers in
existed.
mine.
The Meg.
The Meg.
No
Oh
doubt.
yeah, that's right. Now I remember.
I am looking forward to July. I think it's gonna be. I mean, I do miss like the summer blockbuster, and I'm glad that it's not just superhero movies. So I think we're gonna have a good month, and I do hope that it drives a lot of people to the theater. And something that Josh and I have talked about, the whole thing of Barbie versus Oppenheimer and all. It doesn't have to be that way. If you want to watch both movies, watch both
I
movies.
think it's hilarious
I'm watching
because
both
I
movies.
think
I
a
think
lot
it's
of-
great marketing.
I just got something today from Alamo, and they're like, watch both of them, and you get put into a drawing for a prize pack.
Oh yeah,
And,
no,
and,
they,
and
they
again,
know.
like you don't have to watch both the same weekend either. That's the problem with the streaming is it's made everyone so like anxious. Like, dude, it's not being ripped out of the theater next week. And I understand you
It
want to
doesn't have
talk
to
about
be
it on
either
social
or.
media. It doesn't have to be either or. If you can afford to see both in the same weekend, like I'm doing, do it. If not, watch Barbie next week.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, movie theaters, but if you don't want to spend the money on the concessions, go to Walgreens like I do and stuff your bag. And the only thing you gotta
when they
buy at
search
the
your bag,
theaters,
they're only
aisle.
looking for weapons. They're not looking for candy. I
They
promise.
No, not at all.
search at your theaters. They don't search
Yes.
shit at
They
mine.
do bag
Well,
searches at certain theaters. And
I
certain
live in
Not at mine.
Aurora, so we
Got it.
search bags
Well,
for a
that's
completely different
different.
reason.
Yeah.
That's different. You had an actual
Yeah, it
unfortunate
goes back
incident.
to that.
However,
So,
yeah, they're really looking for candy. But like
anytime
here,
I see some, I just say, "Hey, as long as you share, I don't
Well, you're right because the Cinemark that I go to, and maybe it's just because the purse that I'm carrying, you can only carry in a certain size of purse. Then I
care." Yeah,
think at that
anything
point they'll
bigger than a
search.
certain size, they'll
But
search. Yeah.
I can fit a Snickers bar in my little
Well, yeah,
clutch
yeah.
bag, so they're not searching my purse, is what I'm saying.
Now,
So just
obviously,
buy a
you
soda,
can't
that's
bring
it.
like a large pizza in, but yeah,
No, but you can bring a McDonald's because I've done that.
you can fold it in half and call it a calzone.
There you go.
I've
Yeah.
stuffed a burrito or two from Taco Bell in my pants. I'm just saying.
Well,
That
you know,
was
on
for different
Tuesdays
reasons,
here, I don't
though.
know if they still do this out at your theater, Josh, or in Florida. Tuesdays here before 4
$5.
or
It's
$5,
$5, right? Yeah.
$5.
Mhm,
So
they do
we're
that
probably
definitely.
going to go see Indy again Tuesday
There you go.
because it's $5. I paid full
Why
price
not?
twice. I'm happy with that. Now I can discount it and have some money for
Money's
popcorn.
money, so $5 here, $5 there. I mean, it adds up.
It's
So
free for me every time. So
shut up.
Mm.
Just tell me.
Yeah,
Anyway.
but you've had to sell quite a lot of your soul to get those free movies.
yeah,
Well,
what's soul?
Anywho, Ghost, thank you so much for coming on. Sorry, we
Thanks
try
for
to
having me,
keep
guys.
these short and sweet. Keep going like
we
an hour. We
always
talk
ramble
about
on. Yeah.
Sorry.
Ramble.
I
It's
do
not
have a
your
tendency
fault.
to ramble.
No,
I'm
I
old.
blame you.
we're in the same boat with you. It's okay.
Yeah,
Well,
blame
I
you,
am
so
anyway. I'm the
He
old one.
rambles.
Thanks
A
for
lot.
noticing me.
Yeah. Oh, don't
Ghost,
point
you got
the
anything going on this week before we head out?
I am still working on the Rivendell set for
That's gonna take you a while.
Lego.
Mm-hmm.
It's over here.
Oh, nice.
I'm only half done. 6,000 pieces. I'm 7 bags and out of 14 done.
Oh my god.
So I'm doing that every morning on Twitch and YouTube at 9 a.m. Mountain Time.
And there's his channel right down there, people. youtube.com/@1000thghost. All right, guys. Well, it looks like we were completely split on this one because it was actually 2 splats because math is hard.
For
Well,
some
thanks
people.
everyone. Thanks
Yeah.
everyone for coming to the sticky spot. Josh's idea that he doesn't want to deal with.
Good thing you're pretty. Anyway,
Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to like this video and make sure to comment if you saw the movie. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Or you don't give a shit about it? Either way, do you think we're funny? Whatever you want to comment on, just
that
let
works
us
too,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, that works too.
As long as you love us, we don't care.
Yeah.
Exactly. See,
Hate
ghosts
the
have
movie
that.
all you want. Just tell us
Right,
that
just
we're
like
wonderful.
us. Yes, thanks. And really quick, thank you once again to everyone that showed up for our 1-year anniversary stream. We really appreciate it. So
That
I
was
can't thank
fun.
you
Thank
guys
you.
enough. All right, guys. Thanks for coming to the sticky spot. I said coming. Bye,
Stay
everyone.
sticky.